Hello, my name is Kayla Steplight. In today's informative speech, I will be speaking on the double standards of both men and women. In my informative speech, I will be talking about the double standards that both men and women face in every day. From both points of views and both sides of the spectrums, many have experienced at least one form of double standard. Maybe out of the three that I will be speaking on today, both men and women have either had the gender standards work in their favor or be against them and they be shamed and looked at as less of a person because of their gender and the actions that lead up to the double standard. Throughout my speech, I will speak on three main points and main areas of what I would think is double standards. I am a good candidate to speak on this topic because at points in my life, I have been judged for one or more of which I will be discussing today. The first one that I would like to touch base on would be the casual sex standard. First and foremost, let's start with the major double standard between men and women, sex. The term casual sex, an activity, is regarded and deemed as acceptable for men. Men are seen and expected to have more sexual experience, that it is deemed okay for them to be more involved in sexual encounters, whether it be risky, casual, committed, all of that, men are deemed acceptable to do those things and engage in those type of activities. Versus for a woman, she is not held to the same accountability and the same standard. Women who have sex, whether it be casually, more risky, or even in a committed relationship, are considered to be less of a woman and their value to be taken away from them little by little. These gender differences have caused a societal problem such as sexism and gender inequality. The second double standard that I would like to touch base on would be the emotional standard. A man who cries is considered weak. A man who cries is considered less of a man. If a woman cries, she's automatically in tune and in touch with her emotions and is considered okay. Society tends to have the stigma that a man shouldn't feel anything. If a man is sad about anything, he's not supposed to cry. A man is not supposed to have a sad day. A man is not supposed to let anything affect him when it comes to emotional and mental effects. For example, let's say a man loses a beloved family member. That is deemed okay for him to cry and be sad about because that is a family member. But let's say if a man loses a job that he's been committed to for 10 plus years, he put all his energy into. If he were to lose that job and let's say cry about it, he would be considered less of a man. Versus if it was a woman who went through both of the same things that the man went through, if she cries for either one of those circumstances, she's considered to just be a woman. She's in touch with herself. She's in touch with her emotions. That's considered normal for women to cry. Versus for a man, it's not considered normal for a man to cry in this society. The double standard, it makes it very difficult for any man to feel like they can express themselves in any way that is considered emotional. A man should just be strong and a woman should be soft and express everything. In this slide, I have put two pictures. One is a chart and the other one is just a picture that I feel like relates to what I'm discussing in this informative speech. On this side, we have the chart that the blue line considers casual sex acceptable in general. The red line considers committed sex acceptable in general. The green line is double standard for casual sex. And the purple line is double standard for committed sex. This is just a diagram that was based off of men and women both giving their inputs from 1990 to 2012 on casual sex and the double standards of sex. On this picture, we have women things are bad, so men shouldn't act like women. Women are emotional, therefore men shouldn't be emotional. And the last double standard that I will be discussing in this informative speech would be workplace standards. A woman in a workplace who speaks her mind and has her own opinions will be deemed sassy and aggressive. Versus if a man in a workplace who does the exact same workload or the exact same demeanor about himself, he will be considered strong, passionate, and a boss. For the same thing that a man does, that a woman would do, the man would be applauded and would be considered amazing. Versus if a woman were to do it in the workplace, she would be considered a problem, and it would be wrong for her as a woman to do the exact same thing that a man would be doing in the workplace. In this slide, I decided to add a quote that I found. I feel like it is very relevant to what is discussed in this speech today. Now look, all I'm trying to say is that there are lots of things that a man can do in society's eyes. It's all hunky-dory. A woman does the same things, the same thing mind you, and she's an outcast. All I'm saying is why let this deplorable system seep into our courts of law where women are supposed to be equal. Katharine Hepburn. And in conclusion, the stereotypes of each gender of men and women are negative and critical, all of which can and has caused a disturbance of the equality for men and women in society. These standards are very infuriating on both sides,